All right, let's jump right in. So, when you hear the word yoga, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's probably, stretching, holding some poses, maybe getting a good workout. But what if I told you that's just the tip of the iceberg? Today, we're going to look at a completely different picture. Yoga as a really deep, practical science for understanding and mastering our entire being. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. The whole idea is that yoga isn't some dusty, old practice that we've forgotten about. Nope. It's a living, breathing science that's actually perfect for the crazy, complex world we live in today. You could honestly call it a kind of technology for well-being. So that brings us to the big question, right? If yoga is a science, what in the world is it actually studying? What are its methods, its goals? Well, we're about to go on a journey, starting with the most obvious part of us, our physical body, and moving all the way to the most subtle. Okay, so first things first, we've got to clear up the single biggest misconception out there. Even though it totally involves physical postures, yoga is fundamentally different from what we usually think of as just exercise. Let's break down why that is. This is where it gets really interesting. See, your typical workout is focused on the outer muscles, right? And it actually promotes something called catabolism, which is just a sciencey way of saying it breaks down tissues. But yogasanas, the postures, they have a much deeper game plan. They're designed to get in there and work on our internal organs, our glands. And the goal is the complete opposite, to stop catabolism, to preserve and even boost our vitality. So if we're calling yoga a science, then the very first laboratory we have is our own body. The whole process starts with the most familiar, tangible part of who we are, our physical form. In the yogic tradition, this is called the Sthula Sharira, which basically means the gross body. It's everything you can see and touch. But the view here is that it's not just a random pile of cells. It's like a mini universe made up of the exact same 5 basic elements that make up everything in nature. And that's really the key takeaway for this part. The science has to start with the physical. I mean, you can't build a skyscraper on a shaky foundation, right? So yoga practices are designed to purify and balance the body first, turning it into a healthy, stable container for all the deeper mental work to come. All right, so once we have that stable physical base, the science of yoga shifts its focus to something way more subtle, but unbelievably powerful, our breath. The breath is literally the bridge that connects our body to our mind. And this is the science of what's called pranayama. Now, this is so much more than just a few deep breathing exercises. It's a very precise technology for controlling our breath in order to manage and expand our vital life force, something known as prana. And this is so important that in yoga, a person's lifespan isn't counted in years, but in the number of breaths they take. And believe me, this is not taken lightly. Check out this warning from the ancient Hatha Yoga Pradipika. It compares controlling your life force, your prana, to taming a wild tiger. I mean, wow. It just goes to show you the immense power we're dealing with here. This is a potent science that demands respect and really careful practice. And you know this is true because you felt it yourself, right? Just think about it. When you get angry, what happens? Your breath gets short, choppy. When you're stressed out, you might even hold your breath and not even realize it. Well, the science of yoga just observes this link and then flips it. If your emotions can mess with your breath, then by consciously controlling your breath, you can take charge of your emotions. So we've been throwing around this word prana, but what is it, really? Well, this takes us even deeper into the science of yoga, into the invisible, subtle energy body that actually animates our physical one. Prana is basically described as the fundamental energy of the entire universe. It's not just inside you, it's literally in everything. It's the force that moves the planets, it's the power in a magnet, and it's the energy behind every single thought that flickers through your mind. It's kind of the fabric of reality itself. Now, I know that can sound a little abstract, a little out there. So to make it super clear, the yogic texts give us this fantastic analogy. Just imagine that the energy system inside of you works like a really sophisticated electrical grid. This is such a great way to picture it. So prana is the raw power source, like a massive waterfall. Your breathing, especially through pranayama, acts like the turbines that turn that raw force into usable electricity. The chakras, these energy centers, they're like the transformers that step the voltage up or down as needed. And finally, the nadis are the network of power lines, the transmission wires that carry that energy to every single part of your body. So think about those days when you feel totally, completely drained or burnt out. What's really going on from this point of view? It's a power failure in your grid. Things like stress, a bad diet, not enough rest, they create blockages in the wires, or they drain the power plant. The whole system becomes inefficient, and you feel that as fatigue or even illness. Okay, so we've got the body, we've got the breath, and we've got this internal energy grid. So what's the link between all of that and our mind? Our thoughts, our feelings, our actual consciousness. I mean, this is a question philosophers have been wrestling with for ages. But from the yogic viewpoint, it's actually the wrong question to ask, because it assumes that they're two different things in the first place. Here's the core concept. The mind and body aren't separate entities. They're a spectrum. The easiest way to think about it is that your body is just the most dense, physical expression of your minds, and your mind is the most subtle, non-physical expression of your body. They're really just two ends of the very same stick. And this idea explains exactly how all the different practices work. Asanas work on the physical knots in your body to release the mental knots in your mind. Pranayama uses the breath to make that life force energy, that prana, still, which in turn quiets down all that constant chatter in your head. And then you have practices like Yoga Nidra, this kind of guided deep relaxation, which takes a somata psychic route, a fancy way of saying it uses deep physical rest to directly access and heal the mind. So let's pull all these threads together. We've seen how yoga works layer by layer, on the body, the breath, the energy, and the mind. So what's the ultimate point of this whole comprehensive science? Where is it all leading? Well, the answer is literally in the name itself. The word yoga comes from the Sanskrit root yuj, which means to yoke or to join or to unite. So the ultimate goal of this science is to unite all the fragmented parts of ourselves, and then to unite our own individual self with the universal consciousness that's all around us. So, if you remember just one thing from all of this, let it be this. Yoga isn't just about exercise. It is a complete, holistic science for how to live, specifically designed to bring our physical body, our energy, our mind, and our emotions into a state of perfect harmony. And that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. We've talked about this vast, incredible science, but it all comes back to a tool you have with you in every single moment. If the breath really is the bridge connecting your physical body to your inner world, what's waiting for you on the other side? What might you discover just by taking a moment to pay attention to it?